Hello, and welcome to the Heart of Dentistry podcast. We're looking forward to bringing you the tools that will be so helpful in making your career full of heart and fulfillment. Miss Angela Davis Sullivan is here with us today, and I am, as much as I love her as a friend, I'm also fangirling because her work is so profound. And today I am thrilled that Angela is going to share with us how we can be a leader no matter what position we are on the team. So, Angela, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And thank you for being such a wonderful mentor in my life.
Oh, thanks, Brandi. And thanks, Jamie. I love that we're all three names. Did you notice? It's a little side note there, but I like that. I like that. Yeah, I'm a true believer in you can be a leader without the title. You don't need a title to lead. And I think it's important for doctors to realize there's some leadership going on in their practice, and you just hope that it's going in the right direction for you because someone is leading the team, and you hope it's someone that's leading them the right way and not down the wrong path. So, no matter your position in the practice, they all matter. It just doesn't matter if you're the assistant, you work at the front desk, you do insurance, you pay the bills, you do sterilization, you're the hygienist, you're the doctor. You all have an opportunity to lead. And leadership for me means seeing something that needs to be done and doing it. You set the example, right? It's like, yes, I saw a need and I know how to fill it, so I do it. Or I see a need and I want to know how to fill it, and I need to figure out who can help me fill that need. And that's where leadership starts to grow. And I think that sometimes we get stuck with w- almost that's not my job attitude. Sometimes by accident, or I don't want to overstep. Sometimes that's that next piece of it, like I would, but that's so and so's job. But how about we start collaborating more and stop worrying about the titles and just go, hey, here's what needs to happen. And it would make everything better for the patient, for our team, for the doctor. So tapping into that piece, I think a lot of times doctors are like, I don't know who I should pick, or she's been here the longest. She gets the office manager position. How many of you times have you seen that? And it's just by default. It's like, okay, well, I guess it's good. And then there's no real training for those things. So you kind of feel bad for them. Like, I'm just doing whatever the person before me did. And maybe I brought some new things I can do a little bit better. So I think doctors, step one, if you want to create a culture of leaders, you've got to have clear guidelines, clear expectations. You cannot be wishy-washy. You cannot not know what you want to have happen, and let them know what the goal is and where you see them in that role. And I promise you, people don't need that title to start doing the work. I see it happen all the time. Just give them that direction and that autonomy. And then you have little entrepreneurials in your practice. And how fun is that? Right? When you get to see that happen, I love that
Yeah,
piece of it. Right?
yeah. It's so important. This is such an important topic. And, it's one of the things that I hear all the time in with burnout is that there's no growth. It's just a lateral move this way or that way. And I think that the more we empower them, like you were saying, them to be leaders within their own skin, the more they're going to feel that they do have autonomy, like you said, and they do have move for room for movement in different ways. That maybe you're still an assistant, but maybe now you're going to be in charge of the outreach program and reaching out to people because you have a personality or woo.
But you're exactly right, Jamie. Like, tap into the individual strengths of the people on your team. And so you have to do that. You've got to get to know your team. So spend the time asking questions, watching, getting feedback from other team members, listening to your patients. They'll tell you a story about somebody on your team all the time, the good and the bad. They will share the good. And figuring out what that piece is, because then you can nurture it as a leader, and then they step into that role and they do a little bit more. They do feel better. They have autonomy. The practice grows. They grow as individuals. For me, that's a big piece. I want people to feel like what they do matters. and have a good heart for it. Like, putting that heart back in dentistry. I want to be excited to get up and go to work. I don't want it to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going back in there today. I hope everything goes smooth. No, like, what's going to happen today? How can I handle it? What am I going to do different? So look for the specific talents in each of your team members. And I am always one to think outside the box of normal, what we would call job descriptions, right? Like, "Oh, here it is. Welcome to the team. Here's what traditionally this job does." Well, maybe that's not the right person for that. So why not pull that over here or switch this over to here? You don't have to do it the way it's always been done. So I think it's time to get creative and really look at what strengths and talents individuals bring. What are they passionate about? Because when we're passionate about it, we'll do it without hesitation. We get creative with it, we get excited about it, and we bring others along, which is that true piece of leadership is having someone actually follow you. So when you can tap into that piece, I think that's where the magic starts to happen and breaking those molds of a traditional, oh, because you work at the front desk, these things fall into your category. You must do those. Well, maybe she's not great at following up on treatment plans, but you've got an assistant who's a woo and has already connected with those people. Why don't we switch that to her? We can get creative with that and build up those leaders in their specific gifts that they have to bring to the practice.
So, Angela, if I am a business owner and I want to know what my team's strengths are, but my strength is just living in the moment and being with someone. But I see that if I spent some more time and figured out what their strengths were, but I see that if I did that, it would be helpful. But I don't really have the tools to recognize other people's strengths because that's a strength all by itself, right? So if I'm a business owner, what would you have me do if I felt like I don't know how to tell who might wanna do those treatment plan follow-ups?
Great question. And there's lots of ways to do it. And there are tests out there that you can do it, strength finders, Forte, DISC, that at least kind of narrow some things down for you. The number one thing that works is to sit down knee to knee with your team member and have a conversation. Tell me about what you do every day. What's your most favorite thing to do? What gives you the most joy? What stresses you out? Tell me about your system for that. And you don't have to be the expert in it. That's where you bring in support people. I mean, obviously, coaches are great at tapping into that to help you do that. And your team will tell you if you ask. If you ask.
It's so sweaty to ask though, you know? And so I think that just having the conversation, "Oh, I should sit down with my team and ask what do they love and what stresses them out and what is their favorite." I mean, those are so basic, but I in my opinion, often overlooked. So, that's a great starting place.
Yeah, and I think doctors always get nervous about one-on-one time with their team members, especially if they're not in the habit of doing it. And if we only do it when there's something wrong, well, that's mistake number one, because then it is sweaty every time. So how do we incorporate having these one-on-one conversations that are not about a raise and that takes the pressure off, right? Because that's the other thing they're afraid of. If I sit down with them one-on-one, they're going to ask me for more money. And what am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Have these conversations regularly, get that feedback, get used to having them so that it's not near as sweaty when you're prepared for it.
What I see with my teams is the office manager and or the doctor get into the habit of asking how everyone's doing at Marine Huddle or the drive-by. How you doing? How's the weekend? And you're rushing off to your next exam. And so I found, and you tell me if you have, I'm just going to throw out one thing that I do, is I have my doctors schedule time in. So I've had one doctor who did open time. Yeah, he or she would lose production for 1 hour, but anyone could sign up for that 1 hour and it was a coffee chat and they could meet somewhere. Okay. And then I had somebody else that did lunchtime. One did it before work even started and he had a coffee chat at a local restaurant where there was a lot of people around. And it was amazing because people did sign up for it. And then it's more intimate and it's not so scary. Get out of the office setting if you can, is how he found. So I don't know, what's another couple of ways to do it so it's not so sweaty, as Brandi said?
Yeah, and I love scheduled time. Like, we're just gonna meet. Let's just talk. And if you can do it outside the practice, that's fantastic. It's a little harder, but how about if we just block off this time and we know we're not going to be disturbed too? And maybe it's not in the doctor's office, it's in another part of the office. You could sit down in an operatory and have this.
Bring on Jen.
You could bring a snack in and have lunch, but regularly meet with them. And I'll tell you another thing that's worked really well is quarterly or at least a couple times a year team building activities. Watching the interaction, talking to them, seeing them in a different light, you can learn a lot about your team bowling, axe throwing, top golf by just watching and listening and then interacting with them when you're there. Those traits show up when they're at work as well. That little competitive thing or taking charge of who's going to be on what team. I mean, you see those dynamics happen. You see the quiet person, like whatever, you know what I mean? So you can tap into that. And I am also a big believer of talk to the quietest person on the team. Go find them. Go find that introvert and say, hey, I want to know what you're thinking. They're a lot more apt to give it to you privately or that one-on-one, and you will find out so much because typically those people are just watching and soaking it all in, and they've got great ideas, and they just never get to use their voice often. So then we learn how to manage that in a team meeting too, so that every voice gets heard. Those are fun ways to do it.
I like that a lot.
So what if I am listening to you speak, reading your book, and I am the sterilization assistant. And I don't know what this life has to bring, but I'm 20 years old and interested in dentistry. And I don't want to step on anyone's toes because I don't have any training other than what I got here. I don't have a certified dental assistant license. I mean, I'm truly the entry level position. What would you guide me to do as an action step to integrate myself to the team as a potential leader?
I would ask to have lunch with a person in each department so you can learn more about that department. I just want to learn more about you. And I see this happen a lot when we think one-minded and I'm in charge. So you want to be careful of that kind of culture too, because just because I'm the assistant with the most experience, let's say, doesn't mean I can't learn something new. Or I've been working on the business team forever doesn't mean I can't learn something new. And I think sometimes we get stuck and we don't know what else is out there. So, if you're young and new into dentistry, you've got a world of knowledge right there in front of you. Ask about it. Just say, hey, I'd love to see if we could sit down together and I'd love to pick your brain. I want to learn more about what you do. What did that look like? How'd you get there? And you'll find out maybe where you want to fit in dentistry or not. And that's okay too. Just knowing that though, but you have all that right there in front of you to use as a resource to pick your brain. And then I think for all team members, you really got to think about collaboration and not competition. I'm not coming after you if I take over ordering and you've been there the longest. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I'm just maybe more organized and I like the ordering, or maybe I'm in charge of lab cases. It doesn't mean I'm coming for you. And sometimes I see that in that little competition go a little too far. You're all great with patients. Here's the little thing that I bring. Here's what you bring. And it's different and it's okay.
Do you remember that team when we were at CultureCon? What the doctor, the practice owner said, he goes, when the doctor meets the patient and they have a treatment plan, they don't automatically have the treatment plan being discussed by just a business team member. They look for the personality in their practice that matches up with that patient's personality, especially where they're a new one. I thought that was brilliant to say, some of it came down to maybe dialect, speaking the same language, but a lot of it was based on personality.
Yeah, and I think you just got to get to know your team, and you can't get to know your team just sitting beside them all day. I think onboarding, the interview process has to be good, so you know what you're getting, and then an onboarding process that really is about onboarding them so the whole team knows. Nothing worse than a new team member sitting there and a hygienist walking by and going, "Are you new? Like, did we not tell anybody?" But it happens all the time because we're busy. We're already short staffed. Just throw them in there. They'll be fine. And it's not a good experience for anybody.
It happens a lot in big practices, and it happens a lot in DSOs because I work with DSOs, and I know you guys do too. When it does, they just get so busy, and they're just trying to get somebody to fill the void, and they onboarding just starts out backwards all the way. So that was a really good point.
Well, it sounds like at the end of the day, the most important part is no shocker, but an easy thing to overlook. And we have got to take the time to soak up and get to know the people around us, regardless of what direction they might be from us. So, Angela, thank you for such a profound reminder of how something so powerful is also so small. We just have to prioritize it. So, we're so grateful to you for being here, and we want to prick your brain some more. So we will be back next time with you as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you, Angela.